bring in here Rachel Waterhouse, the Australian Shareholders Association's Chief Executive. Rachel, always good to chat to you. Do you have concerns about this appointment?
Yes, we do, because as you mentioned, the ASX governance principles and standards and our own voting guidelines don't support having an executive chair. So as you mentioned, an executive chair is when they have the role of chair and CEO and managing director, and there's no separation of duties. So how can you be the CEO reporting to yourself effectively, even though, as you mentioned, there is a deputy chair there? So it's not good governance. It's not what we see in large listed companies. So it's very unique.
There's one other aspect of this. Olivia Wirth, there is no doubt, is a highly skilled and credentialed executive who built up the Qantas frequent flyer scheme, the loyalty scheme. It's now a big part, in fact, almost a dominant part of Qantas. So there's no doubting her skills, but she has never run an ASX-listed company. That itself is a skill that one needs to have if you're going to run one of these things properly.
Yeah, you would look at retail experience being the CEO, because effectively your job there is to run the strategy of a retail business. Now, they do have a loyalty program, and that loyalty experience will definitely come in handy. And she does have a strong background in leadership, so that also comes in handy as a CEO role. But again, that's a little unique as well, as far as going into a business that you have never run anything similar.
So what will the Australian Shareholders Association, or what can it do potentially in regards to what you say is effectively Myer going against the rules of the ASX?
Yeah, we want to influence companies to do the right thing and have the right governance principles in place. And so I would say that Myer should consider what they do and how they separate the duties of a CEO and a chair. And they may need to reflect and make some changes before engaging further with shareholders. Shareholders do look to companies for good governance. Good governance often means good performance. So there really does need to be a separation in companies of those two key roles.
Yeah, because I made the observation before that, of course, it can sometimes be an executive chair is appointed if there's a crisis and the CEO goes, or if it's a founder who is there and has some sort of sense of association with that organisation. But that's not the case here. This is actually literally a person you've hired, and that's the reason why it is unusual.
Yeah, very unusual. Founder-led companies often have this type of structure, and a founder-led company does come with a lot of strengths and is quite different. So, you would expect to see the chair and the CEO having separate roles in case, unless there was a crisis and a CEO did step down or something happened to the chair role. And the importance of governance is looking at the skills that you have on the board and the skills you have in the management team and separating them, because how can you do CEO succession planning when you're effectively doing your own succession? That really needs to be quite independent and an independent process.
There's one other aspect of this also, Rachel, and that is it puts enormous pressure on Olivia Wirth herself. She'll be under scrutiny from shareholders, large and small, right from the outset. Whereas, there has been a recovery at Myer under John King that's been quite significant and important for that business. We can remember when its share price was sitting down around about 20 cents and people were wondering about its future. Now sitting at 80 or 90 cents, it's obviously a lot more assured.
Yeah, they've definitely had a really good turnaround. And also looking at Olivia's role, a CEO role is super busy in the listed world. And it also is, as a chairperson, how do you have the time to do both, and how can you be independent? And you can't be independent and assessing yourself. You would have to step out of some of those boardroom meetings. And does that mean you're an effective chair? Probably not.
It's going to be interesting to see it. So this is obviously something you'll put under scrutiny in the lead up to the next Myer annual meeting, which of course is going to be much later this year.
Absolutely.
On to Rachel Waterhouse. Good to have you on the program. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ross.